Cuphead's world is a bit strange. And with the delicious last course just being released, it came with a bonus boss fight that, along with existing examples from the game and show, has us asking some questions about just how the afterlife works in the Cuphead universe. So yeah, let's talk about that. Previously, we took a look at the devil and his itch for collecting souls through trickery and preying on the addictive nature of gambling. Cuphead and Mugman themselves become victims due to Cuphead's own gambling problem. This, of course, was the driving force behind the plot of the main game. In fact, if we look at the Cuphead show, it would appear as though business was booming before Cuphead and Mugman arrived on the scene. The events in the game and cartoon clearly differ a bit, but the one common factor is the two protagonists who disrupt the devil's business. While we don't necessarily know what the devil is using the souls for, beyond simply collecting them as prizes, wandering souls are present through both the game and the show. The most common appearance are the pink ghosts of the Spectre Syndicate. These ghosts appear within the mausoleums scattered around the Inkwell Isles. Each time, Cuphead or Mugman must banish the ghost before they reach the urn in the middle. Within this urn is the spirit of Miss Chalice herself, dubbed as the legendary Chalice. She thanks Cuphead and Mugman for helping her, and often gifts them with new magical abilities. Miss Chalice is a prime example of a wandering or trapped soul. The existence of the mausoleum areas is very interesting. However, it's of course not the only occurrence. Ghosts and ghouls seem to be all over. Calamaria is able to spit out old pirate ghosts out of her mouth, which attack the player. Ghostly rats can appear within the Werner Wormman boss fight after it transitions to its final phase. Heck, there's an entire Phantom Express that seems to serve as a transportation network for the undead and spirits. It's full of ghosts, skeletons, and other entities that makes you wonder why a spirit train has a contract out for its soul in the first place. Are all these passengers part of the deal? King Dice's casino is full of demons, skeletons, and other specters that fade in and out of existence in the background during many of his boss fights. The Cuphead show itself shows us another example of souls freed from the living bodies too. Episode 6 of Season 1 of the Cuphead show, titled Ghosts Ain't Real, shows the protagonists, Cuphead and Mugman, being trapped within a cemetery. While stuck in the graveyard, the ghosts, skeletons, and other undead apparitions chase our heroes around before they finally manage to escape. The notion that all these spirits exist seems to add to the idea of an afterlife existing in this universe, much like many religions of the real world believe in. So, if we have a devil as well as ghosts, do we have other spiritual entities as well? The answer is apparently yes. The delicious Last Course DLC brings with it a secret boss battle, pitting the protagonists against both a demon and an angel simultaneously. This entire confrontation takes place in front of a giant skeleton. The battle itself is interesting, because the angel doesn't actually harm the player. However, every time the player changes the direction they're looking, the two entities swap places. The demon always faces the player, and the angel is always behind them watching their back. The attacks of the two beings change in the same manner, so it's very important to time just when to change direction in order to neutralize attacks from the demon. This dual boss is interesting for a few reasons. From a lore perspective, it seems to expand on the devil further by symbolizing the two parts of the devil from real-world religious texts and other works. In this case, the idea that the devil was once an angel, who ultimately fell and became a demon. This idea primarily has its modern origins in an epic poem written by John Milton in the 17th century called Paradise Lost. The other reason this battle itself is interesting, from a non-lore perspective, is because it's believed to be content that was originally a phase of the fight with the devil from the base game that was ultimately cut and repurposed. We're certainly glad it got to see the light of day. But angels in the Cuphead universe, of course, makes me question, does the existence of all these entities imply that there would be a heaven opposite the hell in the Cuphead universe? I mean, upon death, our character turns to a ghost with a halo and rises into the sky. This would imply our character is good and rising to heaven or the positive afterlife area. In the same line of thought, would there be some sort of god or otherwise good counterpart to the devil? Clearly, we have some sort of limbo or otherwise state of a spirit not being able to move on. The Graveyard episode and in-game examples show us that, and the fact that characters can seemingly be brought back to life for an exchange of a soul, like Miss Chalice's situation. However, with this being the apparent final addition to Cuphead 1, it would seem that we will either have to wait for a new game in the series or the upcoming season of the Cuphead show to try to answer these questions. But what do you think of life after death in Cuphead's world? Is there a good side to it, or is it just all a raw deal? Let me know in the comments below. And until next time, friends, cheers!